From the Breslin Student Event Center on the campus of Michigan State University, welcome everybody to the Michigan High School Athletic Association Class A State Semifinals. We are moments away from an all-PSL semifinal as the Trailblazers of Detroit Central tangle with the Detroit Redford Huskies. My name is Mark Crawford. Glad to have you along, and glad as always to be joined by my buddy, the old coach, Bill Brandell. And William, it is an all-PSL semifinal, but a couple of public school league teams out of Detroit that come here as a bit of a surprise.
Well, Mark, the public school leagues have always provided great basketball for the state of Michigan, and they have dominated the state championships in the last few years. But you're right on target here with these two teams coming out of that public school league that name-wise you don't recognize as being the favorites coming in. But you and I both know that any team that survives that tough public school league and ends up here in a semifinal match is going to give us a great ball game.
Well, and interesting, both of these clubs and their coaches have told us that one of the real motivating factors for them this year is that lack of respect that everybody kept talking about the big dogs in the public school league and left them out.
Well, that's always true with a team that ends up here and was not picked in the early season rankings. And it's kind of, well, how do you like that, folks, and in your face when they do get here. So you're right. These are your two teams that would like nothing better than to take one more step, get to that state final matchup. And, of course, anything can happen when you get there. 8
of the last 10 state champions in Class A have, in fact, come from the Detroit Public School League. Pretty even matchup as we look at these two clubs statistically.
Well, it is. The Trailblazers of Central come in at 18-4 on their season, and they have had a great season through the end of the season. Started out a little bit shaky, lost a couple of early season games, but have run off a real nice string lately. On the other side, Detroit Redford comes in at 18-6, and they had a shaky start just before the start of the state tournament. Lost their last 3 regular season games, but have been on a roll, obviously, since the tournament started.
Point per game kinds of figures, really very even. Both these clubs average right around 65, 66 points a game on offense, give up 57, 58 points a game on defense. Size pretty even as they stand on the floor as well.
Well, as we're saying here, these two teams just profile-wise very similar, and the individual players actually very similar too. But you're right, Mark. If we have to find a little difference size-wise, it's in favor of Detroit Redford. Across the front line, they'll go 6'7", 6'6", 6'4", and that matches up with the Central Trailblazers at 6'5", 6'4", 6'3". So a slight edge, but when you get to that size, these players really play pretty even.
Well, and both these clubs can bring 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" people off the bench anyway.
A lot of depth there on the bench, you're right. So good size on the part of both teams here. Size not going to be a big factor as far as the difference between these two teams.
Officials for this one, and this is a state championship kind of an opportunity for these guys as well as they earn their opportunity. Wegink, O'Rourke, and Rich Randall. The gentleman standing in the middle there is Rich Randall. And we pause now for our national anthem. Breslin Arena in East Lansing, Class A semifinal contest between the Trailblazers of Detroit Central and the Huskies of Detroit Redford. Winner of this one will move on to play either Ottawa Hills or Wayne Memorial for the Class A state championship. And the Breslin Arena beginning to fill up here. Should be a good crowd on hand for this one. We'll introduce the starting lineups for you in this matchup. The Trailblazers of Central there, Bailey, Gates, Darling, Twyman, and Smith. Antonio Gates, number 44, a three-year starter, has led the team in scoring and rebounding, coach, all 3 years, and he's only a junior.
Well, both of these teams have outstanding players that have started for 3 years. Mark, you're right. So two young ball clubs. We're going to see a lot more of these young men before their high school careers are over.
Redford on the other side, Zeigler, Sides, Jones, Washington, and Prater, and they have a nice inside-outside combination. 6'6" junior Omar Zeigler averages about 20 points a game down there in the low blocks, and Jason Prater averages 20 from the guard spot.
Well, that is interesting, Mark. You got Zeigler and Prater on one side for the Huskies, both averaging right around 20 points. Zeigler adds those 11-12 rebounds a game. But on the other side, the Huskies also have, the Trailblazers also have a great inside-outside combination. Dwight Smith averages 15 from the outside. He matches up with Antonio Gates, the young man we just mentioned. So both of these teams, again, very similar in the way that they match up against each other. Both can hurt you from inside, both can hurt you from outside.
All right, Coach, as I look down on the floor, I see a change in the starting lineups from what we had already. Jason Washington will not start at the guard spot for Redford. And Redford will be even bigger than they expected to be. They're going to go with one guard, Prater, and they're going to let Aaron Watts, the 6'6" junior, start as well. So it'll be Prater at 6 feet, and then four guys down low, 6'4", 6'6", 6'6", 6'7" for Redford.
Well, that does make a difference size-wise in our pregame description of the matchups between these two teams. We were saying they were pretty even, but not so with the change there at the guard position. The Huskies electing to go with a one-guard setup and remove a 6-footer and put in a 6'6"er in the form of Aaron Watts. So that will make a change.
Now, Coach, these two teams have seen each other once this year. They met in the PSL playoffs, and that ball game went to Redford by 5.
Well, it's always interesting when two teams get this far in the state tournament and actually they're neighbors. And I'm sure that these players not only know each other as far as team-wise are concerned, but just individuals know each other. During the summer, they probably practice with each other and hang around together a little bit in some of the situations where these basketball players meet in small tournaments and that type of thing. So should be a super matchup, should be very spirited, and a great combination that should give us a very close and even ball game all the way through.
All right, the Big Red from Detroit Redford will be wearing their road uniforms, the red uniforms trimmed in gray. Look a little like Ohio State, and that's the Trailblazers of Detroit Central in the home whites trimmed in blue. Center circle for Central, Antonio Gates, and Omar Zeigler stands there for Redford as we're just about set to get underway. Class A semifinal, Detroit Central and Detroit Redford. Public School League guaranteed a finalist here. And again, they have managed to win the state championship 8 of the last 10. This one's knocked out of bounds. Our officials talk it over and decide they'll give the basketball to Redford. Huskies go on the offense. Looks like our net Sides will sort of play a second guard position. Aaron Watts, who got the late call to start, drills the quick 2. Making the most of your opportunity, Coach.
Boy, I guess get a chance to start, stand up there. First possession, bingo, 2 points.
Fadeaway right side by Gates doesn't go. The follow misses, and Zeigler rebounds for Redford. 2-0 Huskies lead. They have the basketball. Again, I think 57-52 Redford won the only time these two clubs played. Intercepted by Central's Dante Darling.
Central starting out man-to-man in this contest, and they're the good defensive position in the steal.
Almost looks like Central's hoping to isolate things. They had Antonio Gates down low, the other four guys on the perimeter. Zeigler, the athletic move for two. 4-0 Redford. Let's see if they're trying to do that. Working against the man-to-man defense by Redford. And really only Antonio Gates was under the bucket last trip down. Everybody else was out by the arc. Trying to get him a little isolation down low. And they'll get him the ball out near the top this time. Good pass down low. No bucket. Dwight Smith puts it in, but he's fouled before the shot. 4-0. Redford out front of Central. And before the shot, so Central will inbound under their own hoop. Winner of this one will play either Grand Rapids Ottawa Hills or Wayne Memorial for the Class A state championship. Long tray rolls around the rim and out. Very young ball clubs. Jimmy Twyman, who took that tray as a sophomore. Central starts 2 seniors. Redford just 1. Out of bounds. Give it back to Central.
Both teams starting out a little bit shaky, Mark, in this first quarter. They will settle down, I'm sure. Get the adrenaline moving, get settled down, relaxed a little bit.
Left wing pull-up drive by Smith is nothing but the bottom of the strings, and Central's on the board. Redford 4, Central 2. Really wide open Class A field here. These final 4 clubs are all in some sense surprises. Wayne Memorial may be the one exception to that. Oh, nice takeaway by Smith. And we're tied at 4.
Well, at least 3 turnovers so far in this ball game for each team, Mark. It's been just a little bit sloppy, but let's credit good defense also.
Well, a good pass down low. Gates can't make it go, but gets it back and has the 2. Watts, not Gates, sorry. Watts has 4, and the lead is 6-4 for Redford, as you see. Boy, Dwight Smith falling out of bounds hits the tray.
Well, it's Dwight Smith 7 and Redford 6 so far in this contest, Mark.
I tell you, Aaron Watts is off to a start for Detroit Redford, isn't he?
Well, for a young man we didn't expect to start in this ball game, he sure is. 3 two-point buckets, doing a lot of work down inside.
Smith didn't make it on the drive, but Dante Darling gets the tip, and he's fouled. Will step to the line. Pace picking up here a little after you said the first few moments were a little bit slow. 9-8 right now. Central out front by 1. And the Trailblazers send Dante Darling to the line. 6'5" junior. Averages about 15 points a game. And Darling has 3 in the ball game. It's a 2-point lead for Detroit Central. Get the feeling this one's going for 80 points. Redford. Kenneth Tinsley, who's checked into the ball game for the Huskies, drills it. One other difference, perhaps, Coach, between Redford and Central is it looked to us like Redford maybe gets a little more production out of their bench. Few more players who can put points in, and Central will ride to those 5 starters, all of whom average in double figures.
Well, as we figured out point-wise, about 90% of the scoring from the starting 5 for Central. As you said, Mark, not a lot of bench help. That doesn't necessarily mean there won't be players coming in off the bench, but they have not been contributing as far as the scoreboard is concerned a great deal.
Christopher Bailey gets the 2 for Central that stakes them again to that 2-point lead at 12-10. Boy, a spinning move in the lane by Zeigler doesn't get it to go, and we've got a foul, I think an offensive foul on Arnett's sides as he fights for the rebound. No, maybe not. Now Bailey picks it up. And Redford will inbound under their own basket. 12-10, Detroit Central out front, 2:52 still to play in quarter number 1 from the Breslin Arena in East Lansing. Dump down low, Tinsley to Sides, and Sides makes it go. Junior to sophomore, and we're even at 12. Central, nice pull up, and Dante Darling has 2 more. Here comes Zeigler now. Little runner doesn't fall. Offensive board is fired up. Doesn't go, and the rebound Central. Dante Darling, 6'5" junior, has been the presence for Central in the last 60 or 90 seconds. Has 4 points and 3 rebounds in the last short chunk of time. This board belongs to Zeigler, and he wants to run. Right wing, that's Tinsley. Follow up by Zeigler, and we've got a foul. Omar Zeigler will shoot a couple. Nice looking junior, averages 19 points, 11 rebounds a game. I've seen him coach listed everywhere from 6'5" to 6'7". I see today's program says 6'6".
Well, that's right in there. That's the average, maybe.
The average. Charles Paldo, you see, checking in now for Detroit Central.
Well, Christopher Bailey picked up his 2nd personal foul, Mark, here in this first quarter, so he's going to sit down for a while.
14-12, Detroit Central by 2, but Omar Zeigler at the line could tie things up. First one's nice and soft. Next one good as well, and we're even at 14. Full court diamond 1. And Central with little trouble breaking it. Dwight Smith working at the point, now hands off to Twyman. And where else but to Gates, and he's double teamed as soon as he sees the ball. Triple try outside by Smith is wide, and the board belongs to Redford. Boy, nice move to the hoop by Prater.
One of those floating moves, Mark, you just wonder how the athletes can stay in the air that long and do that kind of maneuvers while they're in the air and put that soft touch on the ball, get it off the glass, drop it through for 2.
First 2 for Prater, one of the few seniors who will see a lot of time in this ball game. Central, a couple nice opportunities, and they'll get the foul and head to the line. Dante Darling will step to the line. The foul will be on Omar Zeigler. 51.7 seconds left, first quarter. Redford 16, Detroit Central 14. Redford has some kind of a mascot running back and forth, and that sure doesn't look like a husky.
No, I haven't seen a red husky before, especially one with horns.
Well, we stay 16-14. Final 45 seconds of the first. Well, right through the defense goes Redford, but it's Central coming away. 2-on-1, the scoop will fall. Dwight Smith evens us up at 16, and now Central will try a little full court pressure. Knocked out of bounds, and the officials give it to Central.
Dwight Smith off to a great start. 9 points so far in this first quarter. Averages 15 points a ball game. Part of that inside-outside combination with Antonio Gates, but most of those points he's gotten have come inside instead of from the outside, Mark.
Zeigler off the intercept. Gets away with a travel maybe and has the layup. 18-16. Redford leads with 10 seconds left now, quarter number 1. Central tries to drop it down low. It's knocked out of bounds with 4.6 seconds remaining. Redford 18, Detroit Central 16. 4.6 seconds left. And the Trailblazers will have an opportunity to drop it inside, maybe make one more pass, and then they got to put it up. Well, they'd like to get it to the big guy, I'm sure, inside Gates, and they get it right to him. Fadeaway not going to fall, and the first quarter is history. Quarter number 1 in the books here at the Breslin Arena. Detroit Redford 18, Detroit Central 16. Well, one of the programs sponsored by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, which truly underscores the value of educational athletics, is the Scholar Athlete Award, sponsored by Farm Bureau Insurance. 24 young men and women have been selected as the recipients of $1,000 college scholarships. Mark Swart of Holland High School is the recipient of this year's scholarship in boys basketball. Students interested in applying for the Scholar Athlete Award for the 1997-98 year should contact their high school principal. And that's a wonderful program the MHSAA has, the Scholar Athlete Award.
It's a great combination, athletics and academics. Academics, obviously, in the school setting has to come first. It's great that our High School Athletic Association fosters these awards and honors the student athletes. And we have many, many of them across the state.
Well, you and I over the years have met a lot of those young people here at the state finals as they're introduced each year, and there are some impressive young people and some wonderful stories out there.
Mark, these two teams pretty much holding to their profile in this first quarter. The Huskies of Detroit, Redford, 10 points from their starters, 8 points from people coming in off the bench. 16 points total for the Trailblazers, and they all come from those starting 5 people that are over there, and that's just the way it's been through most of this season.
Alternate possession is the rule in high school basketball, and the arrow is pointing Detroit Central's way, and so the Trailblazers will get the basketball to start quarter number 2. 18-16 is our score. Redford out front by 2. On the floor for Redford, Zeigler, Sides, Watts, Prater, and Washington. For Central, it's Darling, Gates, Twyman, Smith, and Paldo. Ball is out of bounds and stays with Detroit Central. Good coaching matchup. Arande Taliaferro, first-year head coach for Detroit Central. Derek McDowell in his 4th year with Redford. Taliaferro, the youngest coach in the public school league, just 25 years old. His club with the basketball and trailing by 2. Antonio Gates wants the basketball down low, and Redford's doing a nice job of keeping him away. Arnett Sides, a sophomore, working hard defending, and there's a steal by Zeigler. A little stop and go, and I think the offensive foul on Zeigler.
And that'll be 2, Mark, if it is on Zeigler.
Yep. Well, his stop and go actually worked to his disadvantage. It allowed the defender to set his feet, Coach, and when Zeigler picked it up and started again, ran into a stationary target. Central basketball, Redford 18, Central 16. Early second quarter from the Breslin Arena. Glad you're with us. Darling on the drive, and we're all even. You get the feeling we're going to stay tight this whole ball game, don't you?
I just kind of expected that as you looked at these two teams. Darling now with 7 points in this ball game. Real fine afternoon. Averages 15 points a ball game, 10 rebounds a ball game. Real workhorse for the Trailblazers.
Crowd continues to come in here at Breslin. Shots off the iron. Loose ball, and Zeigler gets another board. Zeigler's got half a dozen rebounds already. Boy, Christopher Bailey paid for that and didn't get any points. There's Antonio Gates. Fader isn't going to fall. And Watts, who's had a great ball game for Redford, picked up the board. Watts and Zeigler right now both with 6 points, 6 boards. Zeigler now has 8 points after he drops the 2, and Redford with the 3-point lead at 21-18. Nobody's led by any more than 4. 4-0 early, the lead by Redford, the largest lead anybody's had in this game. And we're back to 1 after Dwight Smith knifes through the lane and gets the layup.
Dwight Smith, the first player now in double figures in this contest, 11.
Huskies look like they want to look at things a little more now, Coach. Going to pull it out, play a little catch, try and spread the floor some. Doesn't pay on that possession. Dante Darling, the bucket.
And 9 points for Dante Darling.
Smith and Darling with a show going for Central. 11 for Smith, 9 for Darling. Christopher Bailey has the only other 2 on the board for Detroit Central.
And the big surprise, Mark, Antonio Gates has not scored yet in this contest.
There's another 3 for Dwight Smith. And we got a timeout right now. Detroit Redford says we got to talk things over. Detroit Central 25, Redford 21, and Derek McDowell, the head coach at Detroit Redford, wants to discuss things with his team. Interesting, Coach, they actually move out onto the floor near the free throw line. Usually clubs will head over to the bench. Detroit Redford going to huddle out there on the floor. Saves a little wear and tear on the starters, I guess. We'll come to you.
Well, a little quieter out there also, as if you're right by your own bench and you have that huge crowd right up behind you and everybody hollering at you. A little bit easier to be heard if you're the coach. You bring your squad out onto the floor and kind of keep their attention right there. Interesting, 2 3-point baskets so far in this contest, Mark, both by the Central Trailblazers, and we haven't seen a lot of 3-point shooting so far. These two teams are both very potent and have a reputation as hitting the outside bucket, but we just simply have not seen a lot of chances from outside. Most of the offense has been working towards getting the ball down in deep to the big guys and working the glass.
Well, some of that, of course, is that we're seeing man-to-man defense most of the time, and typically when you see a zone that's a little bit of a sagging zone, that's an opportunity for your triples. Both these clubs right now have been playing good hard man most of the time. 25-21, Detroit Central out front with 4.5 to play in the first half. Redford with the basketball, down 4. There's a triple try. You were looking for one, and Jason Washington gave you the try, didn't go. Home run ball is beyond the outstretched arms of Charles Paldo. And Redford gets it back. These four clubs in the Class A semifinals this year, sort of a newcomers club here. Detroit Central, last in the finals back in 1918. So what, almost 80 years. Detroit Redford has never been in the semis of the finals. Wayne Memorial has never been in the finals. And Ottawa Hills has been in the finals, but not in the last 25 years. So a real new look to the Class A state championship Final Four this year.
A lot of teams around the state that were thinking about the possibility of a state championship, I'm sure, looking down the road here and thinking, boy, we could have had a chance if only. There's just so much balance across the state at the Class A level this year that just any number of teams could have been here.
Antonio Gates picks up the personal foul. That is his first. Redford at the line. Trying to get back within 2. Instead, they'll be down 3. Boy, the home run ball will mean the easy bucket for Dwight Smith. Dwight Smith is having himself a ball game. Averages 15 points a game.
Got 16 in this one already.
And he doesn't have to worry about his average anymore. 27-22, 5-point lead for Central. Largest lead either club has had in the game. And just like that, it's a 3-point lead as Kenneth Tinsley has his second 2-pointer. 4 on the game for Tinsley. Well, a good offensive board. They get a couple of nice opportunities. Third try still doesn't go. They may get a 4th chance. They're going to have a held ball. Nice work on the offensive boards by the Trailblazers, but they can't cash it in.
Well, the Trailblazers at least 3 opportunities up on the glass, Mark, and a chance then to get the ball one more time. We ended up with kind of a scrum out near the middle of the court, and we end up with possession going to Redford.
Coach, stick this one in your back pocket and hang on to it, but high game this year for Dwight Smith, 21. Got a pretty good shot at that with, what'd you say, 17 already? 16, 17? 27-24, Detroit Central. And with that tray, we are deadlocked at 27. Jason Prater, the 6-foot senior guard for Redford, evens things up with 2.5 to play in the first half. Scoring pace has slowed down here in the second quarter as both of these clubs have been a little more cautious with their possessions. Boy, good offensive work again by Detroit Central. 3 or 4 opportunities, and again, no points.
3 chances again, no points.
Got a whistle and a traveling call against the Big Red. Eight turnovers against Redford, 5 against Detroit Central. Clubs right now are shooting about the same. 44% from the field for Central, 46% for Redford. And we're all tied at 27, just exactly what we expected. Very even ball game. Pull-up jumper just inside the free throw line, not going to fall for Gates, and the board belongs to Redford. Zeigler has 8 rebounds now to go with his 9 points. Another travel on Redford.
And again, just not getting the ball down, Mark, before that pivot foot drags. And that's a point of emphasis this year in the high school rules. And we've seen a lot of that.
Well, and real quickly, explain a point of emphasis means that officials are sort of coached up before the season to look for that and to call it so that play improves in that area, right?
Exactly. The little slide of the foot. Your rule states that the pivot foot has to remain stationary on the floor until the ball gets down to the floor itself. Not just when you let go of it. The ball has to get down on the floor.
You had a look there a moment ago at Orande Taliaferro from Detroit Central. Applauding his club. Little showboating down at the Central end resulted in a travel against the Trailblazers. We're still tied at 27 with just over a minute to play in the first half from the Breslin Arena semifinal game in Class A. Down low, Omar Zeigler, the 6'6" junior. He's in double figures now. And it's 29-27 Redford. Central likes to go over the top against that press. Got a foul before the shot. There's the second part of our coaching matchup, Derek McDowell. We'll go to the line and watch Jimmy Twyman of Central shoot as Aaron Watts checks back in for Redford. And Omar Zeigler will get a little break. Gonna shoot two, say the officials. Jimmy Twyman, the sophomore. 46.9 seconds left first half. Redford 29, Central 28. And Twyman can knot things up. And does. Neither club has been particularly effective with their full court pressure. And Redford gonna travel as Jason Washington went to the hoop. Nobody touched the ball, dropped it to the floor, and when he picked it up, then he'd taken a step.
Good defense on the part of the Huskies that time. Or on the part of Central, I'm sorry, as there was really an open lane to the bucket.
Yeah, you're right. They recovered well, didn't they? Half a minute to play. And Central won't wait for the last shot as Darling will try the jumper.
There's
Rebounded
a perfect
by
example,
Prater,
Mark.
but a walk.
There's a perfect example of moving the pivot foot before the ball gets down to the floor.
Well, Redford's done it here 3-4 times in the last minute or two. And now 11 turnovers against the Huskies. 29-29. Central inside 20 seconds left here in the first half. Now looks like they're ready to wait and take the last shot. Gotta bet it'll be Dwight Smith who's got the basketball in his hands. We're inside 10. Smith will dump it off to Gates. Inside the three-point arc, no, the follow-up will go. Charles Paldo gets it to fall just in front of the horn as Detroit Central, who had been doing the good board work, is finally rewarded. And Paldo's chip in just before the horn gives the Trailblazers of Central our halftime lead, 31-29 Central. You look down across the Breslin Arena on the campus of Michigan State University's Spartan Country. Semifinal basketball game between the Trailblazers of Detroit Central and the Huskies of Redford. And on the strength of a tip at the buzzer by Charles Paldo, Detroit Central has the 2-point lead at 31-29. You can purchase videotapes of all of the semifinals and finals being played in this year's MHSAA tournament. And right there you see the address and the phone number. Advanced Video Service, 5547 Columbiaville Road, Columbiaville, Michigan, 48421, or call us at 810-793-8889. And of course, you'll want to let us know what class and what game you are interested in. Mark Crawford along with Bill Brandell, glad you're with us from Breslin. And Coach, we talked in the pregame about this one being a pretty even Steven kind of a matchup, and that's where we stand. We were 29-29 with 5 seconds left on the clock there in the first half. And Detroit Central fired up a shot and missed it, but Paldo was there to tip it off the glass and in, and that's been the difference here. 31-29, but this one just as we expected.
And Mark, I think if you would have told me that the Trailblazers of Central would be ahead in this ball game by the 2 points that they are, and Antonio Gates would be scoreless, I think that is probably the biggest shock in this ball game. Antonio Gates averages about 22 points a ball game and 13 rebounds, and has been just a key factor for the Trailblazers all year long. A 3-year starter, and so far he's shut out, and yet Central, who we've been talking about, really depends on their starters for most of their scoring, still leading the contest by 2.
Well, yeah, and you wonder if Arande Taliaferro, the Central head coach, wasn't able to talk with his team about that at the half and say, listen, guys, we got a lead and our big horse hasn't even put any points on the board. They ought to feel pretty good about that.
Well,
huh?
I guess that's my point, that the Trailblazers have been a team that doesn't use a lot of depth, and you don't want to beat that to death, but they are really holding their own and actually hold a lead here, and the big guy, the big gun, scoreless so far, but don't count on that lasting too long. I got a feeling that young man will come out here and offensively get things going.
Alternate possession. The basketball starts with Central, but they throw it away. And it's Redford that gets the quick points. Kenneth Tinsley with, I guess you'd say, the steal. And the 2 points, and we're all tied at 31. 10 players on the floor right now for Central. It's Bailey, Darling, Gates, Twyman, and Smith. For Redford, Zeigler, Sides, Watts, Tinsley, and Prater. And Central has the basketball, working against the man-to-man defense of Detroit Redford. 31-31. It was Redford 18, Central 16 at the end of the first quarter. Central 31-29 at the half. Been a very evenly played ball game. Jimmy Twyman trying to find something and can't. Ball is knocked away momentarily, but we've got a foul on Redford, and Jason Prater will pick it up. Oh, Zeigler being given the foul.
Well, I have to change that in my book real quick here. Zeigler picks up number 3. There's a key situation there.
Derek McDowell up off his bench and slapping the floor, telling the officials, no, that's not who the foul was on. But you're right, that's a very important foul. 3rd foul on Zeigler, and there's Zeigler with a board for Redford. 31-31, early 3rd quarter. Winner of this one again will play either Grand Rapids Ottawa Hills or Wayne Memorial for the Class A state championship. Triple try in the corner, not going to fall for Prater. And Central comes away. Rebounding story here, a 19-15. Redford 19 boards, Central 15. Redford shooting 48% from the field. Central 41%. And the turnover story, 11 on Redford, 7 on Central.
Redford foul 44 with Watts. His second team foul.
Aaron Watts picks up the personal foul for Redford, and Dante Darling will step to the stripe and try and break the tie. Get a little air under that basketball.
Well, the Trailblazers were 3 for 5 from the free throw line in that first half, and now 1 of 2 here in the second half.
And they have the lead now at 32-31, as you see. Well, right to the hoop. Arnett Sides, the sophomore from Redford, and the Huskies retake the lead.
Been kind of keeping my eye on Antonio Gates, the young man we were talking about that hadn't scored, and it's Arnett Sides who has, I think, joined him at the hip. Mark, watch those two, and you will see there's never more than a half an inch between them, as Arnett Sides has drawn the duty of stopping the big gun, and so far has done a good job of it.
Knocked out of bounds and last touched by LaChristopher Bailey. Redford will inbound under their own hoop. 33-32 Redford. They get it inside and quickly the foul. Arnett Sides will step to the line and shoot a couple.
And if that's on LaChristopher Bailey, that'll be 3 on him.
Foul 34. Bailey is third. First team foul.
And it is.
52. Charles Aldo.
LaChristopher Bailey had to sit quite a bit of time in that first half. Mark picked up 2 real quick fouls in the first quarter of this ball game and sat down. Got back out there to start the second half and has picked up number 3 and sits down again.
Charles Paldo has checked in for him. Paldo with the big bucket there at the end of the first half to give Central the lead. But it's now Redford out front. Sides hits 1 of 2. Offensive board by Watts. Up and in. And Redford equals their largest lead of the game, 36-32. Redford has led by 4 now twice in the game. Central has led once by as many as 5. But primarily it seems this ball game has been played with 1 or 2 or 3 points separating the teams. We've got a foul away from the ball. It'll be Arnett Sides called for the personal.
And guess who he was holding, Mark? As we said, Antonio Gates just goes nowhere without Arnett.
And now they're going to go right into the big guy, Gates. Great dish by Gates to Charles Paldo. That's unselfish play for you. A big gun, averaging 20+ points a game, finally gets the ball inside and sees a teammate, drops it off. Nice play by Antonio Gates. 2-point lead, Detroit Redford. Zeigler lost it off his leg and then off teammate Arnett Sides and out of bounds. 12-7 the turnovers. Redford with 12, Central with 7. Little trouble getting it in for Detroit Central. Triple try off the iron, and the board belongs to Sides. Zeigler is a rebound away from a double-double already. Has 11 points and 9 rebounds for Redford. It's inside the arc, would just be 2. Darling the rebound. Second half starting a bit like that first half did, Coach. Team's a little slow the first couple of minutes coming out, just trying to get in sync.
And the crowd very quiet here, Mark, for a state semifinal.
You're right.
It's just quiet here.
2-point lead for Detroit Redford, 36-34. Midway through quarter number 3. Pull-up jumper. Here the stripe doesn't go. Big board by Gates, but we've got a foul. Boy, and it's on Arnett Sides. A break really for Redford there, as Antonio Gates would have taken that up and gotten his first 2. Had great position inside underneath. And going to post up and wants the ball. Left it short, but he's fouled. 2 shots coming for Antonio Gates with a nice spin move to the hoop.
Arnett Sides has now picked up 3 fouls, Mark, in this third quarter. And once again, not to beat this to death, but he has just been glued to Antonio Gates. Will not let him go anywhere. And of course, Gates very active down underneath. And Sides has just simply been on him like a glove.
Antonio Gates has some points in the book as he hits one of 2 free throws. 1-point game at 36-35. Redford can't answer, and Gates is there for the board. Tries to hit the outlet man, and Redford intercepts. Got a whistle and a personal, I think, going to go against Paldo.
Charles Paldo picks up his first personal. Second team foul for the Trailblazers.
Really, Coach, you are right that it's quiet here, but no reason it ought to be quiet. The lower bowl here at Breslin pretty well full, and there's a pretty good crowd in the upper bowl. Just folks not getting into this ball game yet. Ball knocked away from Redford. They get it back, and as Sides heads to the hoop, he's sandwiched between 3 Trailblazers.
This one's going to go against Dante Darling.
All right, I was going to say the officials have their choice there. 3:05 to play in the third. Redford 36, Central 35, and Redford will send Arnett Sides, the sophomore, to the line. He was a hero in a victory in the regionals. Hit a jumper with 3 seconds left to keep Redford alive and give them a victory over Murray Wright.
He misses his first charity toss here. It's a try for the second.
Had a look at Derek McDowell on the sideline there, and looked like he just couldn't look. 1 out of 2 makes it 37-35. Sides has half a dozen in the ball game. And Central has the ball, down by 2. Leading scorers in the ball game for Central. Smith has 16, Darling has 10. For Redford, it's Zeigler with 11. To the hoop goes Antonio Gates. Well, you mentioned we weren't going to keep him quiet forever.
Well, he's going to work down in the paint. We've been talking about how he's had defenders right on top of him, but I think he's decided I'm going to express myself here a little bit offensively in spite of the tight defense.
Tied at 37. Central with the ball and the lead.
Oh, what a nice dish.
Dante Darling gets the bucket, and Detroit Central up 2, and that's got some of the crowd making a little noise finally. Inside the arc, it'll be a 2. Aaron Watts in double figures now, has 10 points to go with 6 rebounds. And Redford gets it back. That's Derek McDowell, product of Detroit Northern, went on to college at Stetson. And his club has the lead back on the triple. Arnett Sides, the sophomore, hits the tray. Has 9 points on the game now, does Arnett Sides, and it's 42-39 the lead, and timeout for Central's Trailblazers. Well, it's a great opportunity for high school seniors to stay involved in interscholastic athletics once their prep playing career is over, and it starts right now. As a registered game official in the Michigan High School Athletic Association's Legacy Program, high school seniors can begin their officiating careers. For more information, contact your local school athletic administrator or the MHSAA office in East Lansing. And as both a coach and an athletic director, Billy, I know that you know how important that is to have good officials available.
Well, it is. It's extremely important at all levels in the High School Athletic Association to have officials. And as a junior high athletic director, I know just how important that is. And it's a very distinct pleasure for me to say that the Battle Creek officials are a wonderful group of gentlemen that help at all levels. They do not restrict themselves just to the elite high school games, but are very willing to come down and be teachers on the floor as officials also, as there's as much teaching as officiating going on when you're officiating junior high athletic events, and that's the way it should be. We appreciate those gentlemen.
Central basketball, Trailblazers behind Redford 42-39 with 90 seconds to play here, third quarter from the Breslin Arena. Mark Crawford, Bill Brandell, glad you're with us. Right to the hoop goes Dante Darling. Boy, you can see that balance they talk about at Detroit Central. Everybody can score. They're back within one. And Redford looks willing to take it easy. Till Zeigler sees a little hole, can't get the dunk. Gets it back and he's fouled. Omar Zeigler had the avenue to the hoop and decided to take the slam jam and didn't get it there.
Well, he didn't get it, Mark, but he hung on the basket a little bit to keep from coming down on top of somebody, and lo and behold, he ended up with the rebound. Besides, actually had an opportunity to get it back up on the rim and was fouled.
Zeigler will step to the line. His club up 42-41. 11 points, 9 rebounds for this young man in the ball game. Leads Redford in scoring in the game.
Now an even dozen on his ball game.
Rebound belongs to Dante Darling. Darling's done a nice job. Has 7 boards to go along with 14 points. Has a shot at a double-double as well. 43-41, Redford. Boy, pinned against the glass by Omar Zeigler, and he's fouled. Antonio Gates maybe going to pick up the personal.
I believe so. That should be the 15th foul on the Trailblazers. Foul's really not a problem for either team so far.
Not in the bonus yet, and so Redford will inbound with the 35 seconds left, third quarter. 43-41 they lead. Prater tries to go to the hoop, has it stripped. 3-on-2 the break. Gates down low, and the left-hander by Darling will go. Nice little short jump hook for Darling. We're tied at 43. 15 seconds left, third quarter, and Redford will have the opportunity for the final shot. Now 10, somebody better move. Knocked away again, and the officials say foul.
Well, that one's going to go on number 24. There were, again, a choice. Dwight Smith will pick it up this time. First foul against Dwight Smith.
Both Dwight Smith and Dante Darling are lobbying with the officials, but not going to change the call. Oh, they're takeaway by Smith, but runs out of bounds with it. Dwight Smith, the 6-foot senior, some hustle for Detroit Central here. 4.5 seconds, all that remains, third quarter. And they're going to try one from beyond half court, and there's still time on the clock. Trailblazers lost a little track of what the clock had left on it, I think, Coach.
I think so.
0.4 of a second, and that's only going to be time enough for somebody to kind of bat it toward the hoop. And they're going to heave it length of the court and going to be knocked up and won't fall. Good idea. They sent it down there toward Antonio Gates, but Gates couldn't get it up toward the hoop, knocked it to a teammate, and by the time that teammate gathered in the ball, the horn had sounded. We have finished 3 here at the Breslin Arena, and we're dead even, 43-43.
Well, as you said, Mark, this place pretty well packed as far as the lower bowl is concerned. A great crowd for this semifinal matchup. These two public school teams have drawn a big group here, but they have been sitting on their hands so far. This contest has been close from start to finish. Never more than a 5-point difference in this ball game, and it's gone back and forth. And yet this huge crowd, as we pan around the Breslin Center here, has been extremely quiet. quiet today, content to just kind of sit back and enjoy this one and relax.
Well, and of course, a number of those fans may be here to see game number 2, which will follow up on this. And Wayne Memorial and Ottawa Hills will play next. And Wayne Memorial features a young man who's headed to MSU. And so there may be lots of folks who are MSU fans and folks who live here in Lansing and East Lansing who are taking in this ball game as part of a doubleheader to see Lorenzo Guess.
Well, I knew you'd have to bring that up here. You just want to rub that in all the time. Any excuse to make me feel bad.
Well, 8 minutes to play in this one. Redford and Central all tied at 43. Nice to be working with our crew from Advanced Video Service, Tom Lingle and his gang. Tom Skinner running the truck for us in this one. And we may be looking at more than just 8 more minutes, Coach. This one's starting to feel like OT.
We could do a little overtime here very easily, as these two teams have really been even back and forth here. You get a little spurt by one team and they'll get up maybe 3 points, and then a big play on the part of the team that's behind. It's even again and just kind of back and forth that way. So obviously anybody's ball game here. 43-43 to start our 4th quarter.
Quick look at some of the stats through 3. Rebounding edge belongs to Redford, 24-21. Shooting edge belongs to Redford, 47% from the field to 44%. But the turnovers, 14 against Redford, 11 against Detroit Central. Redford had the basketball, gives it up. Central has it back. We're all tied at 43. Leading scorers on the floor for Detroit Central, Darling and Smith each with 16. For Redford, Watts and Zeigler in double figures. Zeigler with 12, Watts with 10. Ball is knocked loose, but Central comes away. It has been anything but racehorse basketball. Both these clubs have been pretty controlled and primarily have been willing and interested in playing half court. Inside to the big guy, banks it off the glass and in. Antonio Gates used his 225 pounds and gives Central the lead, 45-43. Takes it away. Well, that wasn't pretty, and Jason Prater has the ball at least briefly as Central's Antonio Gates with the steal, Coach, and then saw a teammate in the area, kind of knocked it toward his teammate, kept running, figured his teammate had sent it back to him. Pass was a little wide and wild when it did come, and Central eventually kept it as it's knocked out of bounds by Redford.
That was one of those I got it, you take it situations there. You're right, it kind of got batted around, looked like a volleyball match for a moment.
Prater with the steal for Redford. They'll go underneath to Zeigler for the 2. Tied at 45.
14 points for Omar Zeigler. Averages 19, and I'll bet he makes it.
Central basketball, we are dead even with 6:50 to play in regulation. Class A semifinals. Oh, a triple try. We've not seen a lot of those. Doesn't go, and Zeigler the board. Takeaway by Central. Zeigler gets another board. Building those stats, huh?
Yes, he is.
Pull up right side, no. Rebound by Watts doesn't fall, and as they fight for the rebound, going to be Sides, I think.
Ooh, that'll be number 4 on our net, Sides, if that's the way it goes, Mark.
Well, I'll tell you, nobody seems sure. Everybody headed one direction, now walking back the other way. It is. Arnett Sides has number 4 for the Huskies. Good deep bench for Detroit Redford. Not going to be easy to replace an Arnett Sides, but they've got some folks on the bench who can play. 45-45. Central and Redford, 4th quarter.
Both teams at number 6 as far as team fouls are concerned, so we'll be into the bonus on the next foul either way.
Antonio Gates, who was scoreless in the first half, has another deuce, and it's 47-45. Central by 2. Looks like the Trailblazers are going to try and bump it inside to the big guy. Off the glass, Arnett Sides. And timeout, Redford. And good timeout. I think Derek McDowell is going to talk to his team about Detroit Central and that dump pass down low. did a great job, as you mentioned, in the first half and even the third quarter of preventing that entry pass to Antonio Gates. All of a sudden, the last 3 possessions, Gates and Darling are getting the ball way too low in the blocks if you're a Redford fan.
Well, in Arnett's sides, the young man who has drawn the assignment to stop Antonio Gates down in the middle has now picked up his 4th personal foul. So obviously one more, he's out of there. So a decision now. Can he continue to play tough like that against Antonio Gates, or will he back off a little bit? I really think at this point in the ball game you don't back off, and if you have to maybe switch assignments, you go ahead and do that. But with a tight situation like this and the type of player that Antonio Gates is, you can't just back off of him and let him have his thing down there in the middle. So I expect to see that pressure right on top of him as we continue through this 4th quarter.
I think you've got a couple other big bodies in Aaron Watts and Omar Zeigler, and maybe one of them takes a turn here. 5:55 still to play from the Breslin Arena Class A semifinal. Detroit Central and Detroit Redford all tied at 47. Again, they met once earlier this year in the Public School League playoffs, and Redford won that one by 5. In this ball game, nobody's led by more than 5. It has been nip and tuck all the way.
Well, we're picking up with the enthusiasm a little bit as the fans from the 2 schools begin to taunt each other a little bit with spirit cheers, and that's what you like to see. That's good sportsmanship and just a lot of fun.
Central basketball. Let's see, they're going to run zone. How about that, coach? Not going to play more man-to-man. They'll try and stop the big guy Gates with a zone. And that works a little bit. They're able to double team him. He goes to the hoop and gets the foul. He managed to take baseline, did Antonio Gates, and as he spun toward the hoop and the double team came down, we got a foul.
I believe that's going to be on Aaron Watts. And I'm wrong.
Well, on the board, they've got a 42. We don't have a 42 on our roster. So I think that's a mistake. It is 44 Watts.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, after all.
3rd foul on Aaron Watts. And Antonio Gates at the free throw line.
Oh, they've changed it now.
Changed
Now
it.
they've changed it.
Boy, it went from 42 to 44 to 24, and Arnett Sides is going to walk out. You look at Derek McDowell, the head coach for Redford. And Arnett Sides is done.
30, Donald DeVoe.
Donald Defoe will check in, a 6'5" sophomore. Averaged about 7 points a game in limited duty this year. And Antonio Gates will step to the line. Missed them both. And Omar Zeigler with the board. 14 points, 13 rebounds for Omar Zeigler. Averages 19 and 11.
Boy, and here we go, Mark. 5.5 minutes left in this one and tied up 47-47.
Now, I don't know that we're seeing it here, but you and I have seen clubs in high school basketball where there's not a shot clock decide at a point like this that we're just going to hold on to the basketball. And Redford doesn't do it. They head to the hoop and maybe wish they'd done it as they don't score and Central comes the other way. Look for Gates, the big guy. That's been the attempt of late. It'll be a triple try. Not going to fall, but Smith gets the board. Inside big guy, short with it is Bailey, and a foul.
I think Bailey's going to get called for coming up over the back for that offensive rebound. And that's what it'll be.
We'll shoot the rest of the way. 17 fouls on each club. With 4:45 to play and all even at 47. May come down to who's going to shoot free throws here. So far in the game, Redford 6 of 10. Detroit Central 5 of 11. We'll shoot the 1-and-1 at the Redford end. Zeigler the opportunity to make it a 2-point lead now for Redford. And does.
I like the way the concentration is there for Omar Zeigler on his free throws, Mark. He's all business. Takes his time, has that good form.
5 of 6 from the charity stripe on the game is Omar Zeigler, and Redford leads 49-47. Triple try. Oh, how about that? Dante Darling, the 6'5" junior center for Detroit Central, drills the tray, and it's Central by 1.
Third triple today by the Trailblazers.
Been a long time since anybody has led by more than 2 in this ball game. They have really stayed close throughout. Zeigler thinks about it in the corner. Now we'll try 3. Not going to go, and Darling boards. Dante Darling's had an impressive ball game. 19 points, 9 rebounds for Dante Darling. 50-49, Central by 1 with 3:40 to play, and they have the basketball and that 1-point lead. Want to go inside to either Darling or Gates on the blocks. Sort of running a 3-guard offense now with LaChristopher Bailey running out to the point. Boy, to the hoop, the great switch of the hands, and Dante Darling coming to play. Great smile on the face of Dante Darling. Cut into the lane with the right hand, went up in the air, switched to the left hand, and laid it softly off the glass. 21 points for Dante Darling.
Aaron Watts called for the personal foul, his 3rd.
Paldo will check in now for LaChristopher Bailey as Detroit Central goes for a little more size. On the defensive end anyway. Might be moving into situation substitutions here. We're at that kind of point in the game. Ball's loose on the floor, rebounded by Gates, tries to fire it off a Redford player, and instead goes off a Central player and out of bounds. 52-49. Detroit Central over Detroit Redford with 3:10 to play. Winner gets Ottawa Hills or Wayne Memorial in the Class A state championship game. And either of these clubs would be a worthy representative of the public school league. Down low, boy, Omar Zeigler covers a lot of ground with 1 step, doesn't he?
Sure does, and that was a nice move right down along the baseline. Got the nice feed pass, lays it up softly off the glass, turns his back to the defender, kind of looking for the foul, but protecting the ball as he goes up with it. Got the nice 2 points.
Lane violation, 3-second call against Detroit Central. 1-point lead Central, but Redford has it back with 2.5 to play. Again, neither of these schools was supposed to get out of their district, much less find their way here to the state championship Final Four. Central expected by everybody to lose to Pershing. Redford was going to lose to Catholic Central, said the experts. But here they are now, 2 minutes away from, for one of them, an opportunity to win a state championship. Redford back up 54-52 after the tray by Jason Prater with 2:10 to play.
And just the 3rd triple for the Huskies in this ball game. We haven't had a lot of those 3-pointers, but that was a critical one.
Timeout on the floor now with 2:10 to play. Redford 54, Central 52.
Both teams doing a little strategizing here, Mark, as we get down to 2:10 in this one, as you've been describing, back and forth. Neither team any time in this ball game threatening to run away with it.
Again, you can purchase videotapes of all of the boys basketball semifinals and finals from Advanced Video Service. 5547 Columbiaville Road, Columbiaville, Michigan, 48421. Call us at 810-793-8889. And be sure when you call, you're prepared to let us know what game and what class you are interested in. This would be a good one to have for the collection. 54-52, and you get the feeling we may have a spectacular finish ahead of us.
Well, we've got two young ball teams here also, Mark. These players are going to be back another year, most of them. This would be a good ball game to have a permanent record of. We encourage folks to take advantage of that situation.
Well, they are reorganizing the public school league in Detroit next year, and I haven't seen all of the new drawings in terms of who's going to play where, but these two may end up in the same league. I'm not sure. Redford and Central sort of trading the basketball back and forth here. But Christopher Bailey, not sure if he knew he was out of bounds.
I don't know what his argument was there.
So looking at the officials, and you're about 4 feet out of bounds, Christopher.
Okay. Could be he was trying to get a timeout, Mark, before he came down, and he was looking at the official, and I think he knew he was out of bounds, but it was obvious that he was, but the official would not give him the timeout, and so Redford ends up with the ball.
Coach, there's a lot of conversation. We're reminded by Tom Skinner down in the truck. There's a lot of conversation right now about whether basketball players ought to be allowed to call timeouts when their feet are off the floor and they're in the air. 1:50 to play in regulation. Redford 54, Central 52, and Redford with the ball. No indication that they're trying to hang on to it. Looks like they're running the offense. Zeigler down low, can't find anything. Washington, nothing there as Central looks to double team whoever has the ball. Oh, a triple try. My. Jason Prater. How about that?
There's some confidence for you. My, oh my.
Dwight Smith answers with a 2 the other way. And there's a steal by Central. Well, just when you think maybe Redford's done the spectacular thing that'll win them the game, Central the quick answer and the steal. And with 1:05 to play, 57-54, they go for the tie. Don't get it, out of bounds, Redford. Oh, now the officials are going to talk. Rich Randall says no. Should go the other way, tipped. And good job by the officials as they talk it over, and Central keeps it. Well, great job by our officials. And Central comes into the big guy, Antonio Gates. Gates goes to the hoop, off the glass, misses. Rebound Redford. Taken away momentarily by Central, and a foul on Central's Dwight Smith. That's not all bad with 49 seconds left. Redford leads 57-54, and you can't afford to let Redford run too much time off the clock if you're a Central fan.
And as you mentioned a moment ago, Mark, this one may come down here to free throw shooting. Last few seconds here, 49 seconds left up there on the clock. And of course, here we are with Omar Zeigler at the line. Some key free throws right here.
Well, the right guy statistically for Redford. He's 5 of 6 on the game. And we jinxed him. Rebound belongs to Gates. Central down 3 with the ball. They'll try a long triple. Well short. Tying up the man with the basketball, but the foul going to be called on Christopher Bailey. And that may be number 5 on Bailey. Let's see if that's who they get. It is.
Yes, it is.
Number 5 for Christopher Bailey.
And we have one player from each team now that has gone to the bench by way of the personal foul route.
Substitution now from Orande Taliaferro, the Central head coach. And they're going to send in Jermaine Gambrell, and I don't think we've seen him before. I'll bet he's a three-point shooter. I think his first entry into the ball game. Aaron Watts will shoot the free throws, 1 and 1. Gets it. Aaron Watts, the 6'6" junior.
Makes a 4-point difference, Mark. That's 2 possessions now. That was a key free throw right there.
Really was. Has 11 points now on his game. A dozen for Watts. 5-point lead Redford. Timeout called by Redford. Derek McDowell, the head coach, gathers his team around him. And the Big Red fans are celebrating. 37.4 seconds remaining. Redford 59, Central 54.
Well, this matches the biggest lead that we have seen in this contest, 5 points, but it's not over, Mark. Both of us have been amazed at these two teams coming right back at each other. Just when you think somebody's got the upper hand and is going to walk away with one here, all of a sudden there's a spurt by the other side. And I would bet that the Trailblazers come out here with fire in their eye and quickly get to the bucket. They can still run their offense, but they obviously need to get some scoring as they're at least 2 possessions away from getting back even in this contest. So they need to score quickly, then throw on that defense full court, try to get possession back.
Well, I think if I'm Detroit Central, coach, I might not go for the tray here. I might go ahead, dump to the big guy Gates, and see if I can't get a 3-point play that way. There's the new logo for the MHSAA's sportsmanship program. I like that. The Good Sports Are Winners program and their new high-fiving logo.
And that is all around the arena with lots of little sayings to go along with it. I like that too.
Redford going to continue with the full court pressure and try and make Central take some time off the clock as well. 37.4 seconds left. Here comes Central. Best 3-point shooter is Dwight Smith, the guy with the basketball. And he's going toward the hoop. Will lay it off the glass and in. Down to a 3-point game. Timeout, Central. 25.9 seconds left. Redford 59, Central 56. And if Redford can get it inbounds, one can bet they're going to be fouled pretty quickly.
Well, it was obvious that Redford was not going to commit a personal foul, as they really had kind of just passive defense. Not only they lined up full court and then backed right out of that, but then even at the half court situation were very passive also, and allowed Dwight Smith to go right to the hoop, get that 2-pointer up off the glass. We still end up with a 3-point difference in this contest, and the Huskies then, as you said, Mark, really the key situation is getting the ball inbounds. And then, of course, the second thing is make some free throws after that.
There you see our situation. Just under 26 seconds left to play in this one. Redford over Detroit Central by 3. And you notice the foul situation. When we reach 10 fouls, you are in that super bonus situation where you shoot a couple. And the possession arrow is pointing toward Detroit Central. That's good news for the Trailblazers. Looks like full court man pressure by Central. But they didn't get everybody. Boy, they go for the takeaway, and Dwight Smith almost gets the knockout.
My goodness.
Holy cow. Going from center court, was standing on that big S in the middle of Breslin Arena's Spartan basketball. And as he saw that pass headed in front of him, he took off like a streak and got a hand on the basketball, but whacked it across the head of Redford's Donald Defoe. And the sophomore Donald Defoe will step to the line. Doesn't get it. We are in that super bonus, so he does get 2.
And this is key, Mark. Once again, a point here will make it a 2-possession situation for the Trailblazers.
You're right. Huge free throw here. Doesn't get it. Rebound belongs to Central, and we got a foul on Redford. Omar Zeigler was trying to get the offensive board, and the officials say reached in, and we're going to shoot 1 and 1, and Central can put points on the board with the clock stopped.
Well, just exactly what the Huskies did not want. They wanted time to be ticking off that board. Obviously, they wanted the made free throw, but without that, simply without a timeout, the seconds were going to begin to tick away here.
1 and 1. Dante Darling will step to the line. He is just 2 of 6 from the charity stripe in the game, but comes up big there. 59-57. Coach Taliaferro goes to his haunches, watches his club pull within 1. And we got a substitution. Into the ball game for Redford comes Jason Washington. Out goes Donald Defoe as Derek McDowell has his best free throw shooters in, I'm sure. Full court press by Central. Oh, they got the double team, knocked it up in the air. Central had it, it's out of bounds, back to Redford. 15 seconds left. Oh,
there was an opportunity.
You are right. 59-58, Redford by 1. And they have the basketball, 15.7 seconds left. Over the midcourt stripe, gonna have to foul. Boy, ball loose on the floor. Central has it with 7 seconds left. Looped, foul with 3 seconds left. Central will step to the line and shoot. 3.3 seconds left. Redford 59, Central 58, and send Central to the line. 2 free throws go, and perhaps they win 1 of 2. And we go OT. We are super bonus, coach, both ways, so he'll have 2 shots.
Well, anything can happen, as we just mentioned, Mark, and as you described. We get no free throws made, you go home a loser. You make 1, we got overtime. You make 2, you might be a winner.
There are 3.3 seconds left. That's Derek McDowell, the head coach for Detroit Redford. Fans from Redford thought maybe this thing was sewn up just a moment ago. Free throw goes. The big guy, Antonio Gates, takes the chest bump from Jimmy Twyman after tying it at 59, and now Redford says we got to call timeout. 59-59, 3.3 seconds left. Antonio Gates, the 6'4" junior, the leading scorer for Detroit Central, at the line with a chance to give his club the lead.
Well, just a moment ago, Mark, we're saying this one wasn't over. It certainly wasn't. Kind of a bizarre way to get things tied up here, but that's what we find.
Well, the beauty of high school sports, in addition to games like this one, is the camaraderie that is developed between teammates. It's a relationship nurtured on the playing field, in the locker room, and most importantly in the classroom. The time that youngsters spend together in school sports on and off the playing field contributes to this unique extracurricular experience. High school sports, it's a privilege to play. And at least here in the waning moments of this one, a privilege to watch as the crowd finally in this one, tied at 59 with 3.3 seconds left. And overtime staring us in the face, but Antonio Gates stands at the line. You see the possession arrow favors Central. Both teams in that super bonus with 10 fouls. And 3.3 seconds left. Gates won't shoot a bigger free throw in his career. Left it short. Tipped. Loose. Redford comes away, and this one's headed OT.
My, oh my. I think that's what we deserved in this one, Mark. That's the kind of ball game it has been. I don't think it would have ended any other way than ending in overtime. And we have 2 teams that have just battled each other toe-to-toe. The lead has changed I don't know how many times. Somebody may keep track of that, but I haven't. But 2 teams that really have found themselves behind. They jump back, they go out in front, and all of a sudden we're even again.
Nobody has led in this ball game by more than 5. Each club has led by 5 once, but you're right. Primarily, this has been a 1 and 2 and 3-point ball game back and forth. At the end of 1 quarter, it was Redford 18, Central 16. At the half, Central had taken the lead, 31-29. At the end of 3, it was 43-43. And as we head to overtime, we're deadlocked at 59-59.
Well, we will go 4 minutes overtime. I was just trying to remember what the time was in high school for overtime.
We ought to have some tired young men on the floor. Both of these clubs have a little depth available to them, but each club has played 3 or 4 starters really the entire ball game. And so there are a few young men out here who've already played 32 minutes, and they're going to have to go some more.
And we have one player from each side that has fouled out. For the Huskies, it's Arnett Sides. He fouled out with 11 points, fouled out in the 4th quarter. And on the other side, it's Christopher Bailey who has fouled out. Bailey with 2 points in this ball game, but he's been a key factor with his rebounding. In foul trouble, Omar Zeigler has 4. And nobody else, really a couple of people with 3.
All right, OT, we jump it up again. Central loses their possession arrow advantage. The two clubs now are talking about which way are we going and who's pointed where and who should cover who and what's the deal here anyway. And they got it figured out finally as the two players go up. Somebody maybe steps into the circle too soon. Yeah, and give the basketball to Detroit Redford. So the possession arrow will favor Detroit Central, but Redford will get the basketball as we start OT. Again, we've seen lots of clubs in OT decide we're just going to hang on to the ball. No indication of that. 10 on the floor right now. Darling, Gates, Twyman, Smith, and Paldo for Central. Zeigler, Watts, Tinsley, Prater, and Washington for Redford. Triple try for Redford. Not going to go, and the board belongs to Paldo for Central. Just underway in OT. Class A semifinals. Winner will get to Ottawa Hills or Wayne Memorial in another semifinal that follows this one. And Central looks like they're willing to be patient. And we got a foul inside, away from the basketball. Jason Washington trying to guard a little bit of a mismatch. Charles Paldo. Paldo's 6'5", Washington's 6-footer, and had a hold of the shirt. And so we're going to shoot 2 at the Detroit Central end. Tied at 59 statistically through regulation. Redford 32 rebounds, Central 29. Redford shooting 48% from the field, Central 44. Redford 59% from the free throw line, 10 of 17. Central at 50% from the charity stripe, 8 of 16. And turnovers, 22-21. Been a very tight ball game. Both of them go for Charles Paldo, and he'll sit down. After hitting the free throws, Paldo sits down, and Jermaine Gambrell will check back in to play defense at 61-59 Central. Pull up and we're tied. Kenneth Tinsley, the junior off the bench, has 8 points now in the ball game, and we're tied at 61. Well, wasting a little time. Central answers back, and Dante Darling has the tip. 25 points for Dante Darling. 25 points, 11 rebounds. He's had a great game. He's 10 of 13 from the field. Can't do much better than that.
Well, he's done that work down there in the paint, Mark. He's worked for those points. Those haven't come easy.
Redford down 2 with the basketball. 2:20 to play in OT. Zeigler, nice shovel pass down low. Easy bucket. Watts gets the 2.
Whoops, and I gave it to Zeigler. That's who probably should have got it. But good dish.
Well, he made it work, didn't he?
He made it work.
Watts now has 14. 4 Redford players in double figures. Zeigler, Sides, Watts, and Prater all in double figures. Central just with 2, but it's Darling with 25 and Smith with 20. Pull-up jumper for Central. Far side doesn't go, and the rebound belongs to Washington. And tied at 63, it's Redford's chance to take the lead. 1:40 to play in our first OT. Said that like I expect another, didn't I?
Yes, you did. And with good reason, I think.
Zeigler has it knocked away. Other way, laid off the glass and in by Dwight Smith. 2 or 3 players out here didn't even go to the other end of the floor, Coach. I think we got some tired young men out here.
Well, the one defender that was back ended up falling down, and it ended up on a 2-on-0 that time, and Dwight Smith had the easy layup for the 2.
Redford looking to tie it. Fade away goes. Tinsley evens it up at 65. We've got just under a minute to play. 50 seconds and counting. 65-65, Redford and Central.
Kenneth Tinsley, after taking that jump shot, came down hard on his ankle. Mark kind of gingerly moving around out there. Seems to be all right out at the top of the circle defensively, but
looks like Central may be willing to wait and take the last shot of this game and assure themselves at worst another OT. Clock shows 25. Dwight Smith with the basketball is their best one-on-one player. Clock now down to 15. Moves toward the basket and brings it back out. Now spins away, stolen! Redford the 2 with 10 seconds to play. Clock runs down to 6.3 as the ball rolls around on the floor. The officials have stopped it now. And they say it's Central basketball, and Redford wants a timeout. Derek McDowell with the timeout. 67-65. His club leads by 2. Boy, what a great defensive play. Was it Prater?
It was
Jason Prater, who stripped the basketball, picked up the 2. And Prater has given Redford the 2-point lead.
well, Dwight Smith was trying to get that clock to run down to just about 10 seconds, and then was going to begin his move to the bucket. And Jason Prater just right on top of him as he started that move. He was kind of passive for the first 15 seconds of that situation. There were about 26 seconds left up on the clock when Central decided to go for the last shot. About 15 of those had ticked away, and as soon as Jason Prater moved out then to guard tightly on Dwight Smith, Smith made one move, tried to spin around, and Prater was able to reach around, tap the ball, and then gain control himself and go in for the layup. That gave Redford the 2-point lead.
6.3 seconds left, and Detroit Central will have to try and negotiate the length of the floor for a 2, or try and find themselves a 3-point shot to win. Again, the winner has an opportunity to play for the Class A state championship.
Well, Redford will want to play defense, Mark, but no fouls.
Oh, they have a little miscommunication. 3 seconds left. It'll be a 3-point try. Long one off the glass and no. And it is Detroit Redford, the Huskies, who will move on to the state championship game. Jason Prater's steal and layup with 10 seconds to play in OT gives Redford the 67-65 victory over Central. And coach, 2 evenly matched clubs as we talked about in the open. And what a great ball game.
Well, obviously, either one of these teams could have moved on to that final. And it's going to be the Huskies of Detroit Redford that prevail here in overtime with that great finish to a contest. Boy, folks have just got to be amazed at how even these two teams were and how the game went back and forth and finished just the way he would want it to finish. Very tight all the way. Last second bucket by Jason Prater for the Huskies, and they go into the finals on Saturday.
All right, our congratulations to both these clubs, the Trailblazers, who finished their season at 18-5, and the Huskies of Detroit Redford, now 19-6, who move in to the Class A state championship. Again, your final score: Redford 67, Central 65 in OT.